Hello, everyone. It is Kathy with Backyard Columbus, and today's episode is about host plants. Like, what is a host plant? You may or may not have ever heard that term. The reason it is important is because every butterfly and moth has a host plant. And a classic example of this is monarchs and milkweed. So the host plant for the monarch butterfly is milkweed. And the significance of that is if there was no milkweed, there would be absolutely no monarchs. So a host plant, and I'm going to read this from my notes, is plants that an organism lives on and lives off of. Okay, so the monarch butterfly lays its eggs on milkweed, and those eggs hatch and it becomes a caterpillar, and the caterpillar eats the leaves of the milkweed plant. Okay, and milkweed actually has a toxicity to it, and so that's what gives the sap in the milkweed is what gives the monarch butterfly its toxicity and the caterpillar, and it makes it less palatable to a lot of predators. Okay, but so this is why it's important that I'm bringing up the subject of host plants, is because if you love butterflies and want to see more of those in your yard, it is important to have some of the host plants that these butterflies like, or you're simply not going to see them. The significance of the host plant also is that so a butterfly needs to lay its eggs on something, okay? And you think, well, just lay it on anything, but that's not how nature works. Every butterfly and moth has a specific plant or family of plants that it lays its eggs on, and that is it. So it won't just say, oh, heck, this yard doesn't have any milkweed or fennel, and I'll tell you why that's important, but it doesn't have any host plants, so I'm just going to lay my eggs on this tree leaf, or I'm just going to lay my eggs on the grass. That's not how it works. The specific plant for the specific butterfly or specific group, family of plants for the specific butterfly or moth, that's how it works. It's like this little relationship. So that is the significance of having host plants. And so one of the best host plants that you could have in your yard, say you're like, that's all groovy, but I don't have time for flowers right now. I don't have time for any of this stuff. I just want to plant a tree. Then, hey, you could plant an oak tree. An oak tree is like the hostess with the mostest, and an oak tree will host over 400 species, and I don't recall the specific number, but over 400 species of butterflies and moths. I mean, wow. So that means, again, that all of these different kinds of butterflies and moths will lay their eggs on an oak tree leaf, and the little caterpillars, when they hatch, they eat that oak leaf like that's its food. And then they will, do their thing and become a butterfly. So if all you can muster is an oak tree, that would be amazing. So when I first started getting into butterflies, for whatever the reason, I ended up at a nursery and we ended up talking about fennel. You can cook with fennel. I don't know what to do with fennel, so I just raise it for butterflies. But the host plant for the black swallowtail butterfly here in Ohio is the carrot family. And so dill, fennel, parsley. And so I planted this little fennel plant. It was only about 6 inches tall next to our patio. And within 2 months, I looked down and I have these 2 little black swallowtail caterpillars crunch munching their way through the fennel plant. And so I made this beautiful, cute little video set to music. And it's on YouTube, and I'll post it on the blog post about this subject of host plants. And it was just really neat. So the point of me sharing that with you is if you plant it, they will come. I mean, seriously, I didn't have a whole bunch of host plants. I didn't have a whole bunch of nature habitats that I've talked about. I didn't have everything all in place already. I just kind of started with these fennel plants, and the black swallowtail butterfly found it. So if you would like to see more host plants more butterflies in your yard, then I would strongly encourage you to plant more host plants. Now, let me also tell you or share with you, there is a difference, and a host plant and a plant that a butterfly would eat from, which is drink from, okay? So in the case of a milkweed plant, it has a flower on it, and so the monarch butterfly lays its eggs on the milkweed plant, and then the caterpillars eat those leaves. But it also has a beautiful, sweet-smelling flower on the top, and so butterflies and moths sip nectar from that flower. Okay, so that's a little bit different. You have host plants, and then you have just pretty flowers everywhere that produce nectar, and they will sip nectar from that, and that's their sustenance when the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. So two things are important, actually. The host plant that will produce the babies, and then the other flowers in your yard, which will produce the nectar that the butterflies need to sip from. So hopefully that's helped. A few native flowers in your yard, a few native host plants, and you will be on your way to having lots more butterflies in your yard. There are resources for that. The OSU Agricultural Extension produced a PDF that you can download, and it will give you all of the information of the plants that you can plant in your yard, the flowers that you can plant in your yard, and when they bloom, what kind of sun or partial sun that they need, and the butterfly it attracts. So I will have that available as a download on my website. So hopefully this helps. Again, I thank you for listening. And until next time, have a great day.